Intoxication is the nature of the moon. May 10th is a special Purnami or a special full moon day because it's called Buddha Purnami. This is the day Gautama the Buddha got enlightened. You know this? This year it's on 10th of May. This full moon day is the day Gautama the Buddha got enlightened. There are many aspects to his life. The most important aspect is that he is a Buddha. That's not his name. His name is Gautama Siddhartha, but he is a Buddha. Buddha means he transcended his intellect. Bu means buddhi, dha means dada. Buddhi means the intellect, dada means one who is above. One who is above his intellect is a Buddha. One who is in his intellect is a non-stop suffering human being. Something happens, they suffer, nothing happens, they suffer, whichever way. That is, if you're below the mind, we call them Buddhu. You're missing the point. If you're above the mind, you're a Buddha. If you're below the mind, you're a Buddha. If you're in the mind, you're non-stop suffering. So how did he become this? He tried many things in his life. He was a prince of a small princely state. Because some yogi predicted that this will either become a great emperor or become a great sage. When he made this prediction, the father got little excited. He did not want him to become a great sage, he wanted to become a great emperor. So he decided he will not expose him to… because he thought by being exposed to some suffering or misery, he may turn into a sage. So he kept him in utter pleasure, the best of food, best of clothes, best of pleasures, everything. When he was 19 years of age, he got him married to a very pretty young woman, kept him in a palace secluded from the rest of the society where he lives in pleasure, never exposed to any kind of suffering. One day he thought he will just take a drive through the town. He asked his charioteer to take him across. So he was going, and then he saw a man who was old, was going like this. He had never seen an old man in his life. His father had protected him from all this. He said, what happened to him? So the charioteer said, oh, he's just an old man. How does it happen? He asked. He said, everybody gets old someday. He looked at himself, he was a nice youth. What, me also? He said, yes, everybody gets old. They live long enough, they get old. This was a realization for him, I will become like this. Then he saw a man lying on the street who was ill with something, not able to get up, in great suffering. He said, stop, what is this guy? What's he doing? He said, oh, he's sick, unfortunately. What does that mean? He said, my body, sometimes it gets sick. It can happen to anybody, it can happen to just anybody. Me, a prince, it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Then he said, oh, I can become like this. Then they were going further, he was completely disturbed by this. Then he saw a funeral. They were carrying a dead body of a man. What happened to that guy? Oh, he just died. What does that mean? That happens to everybody without exception. Then he said, what am I doing? Just eating, pleasures, nonsense, what am I doing with myself? And he struggled, he went into turmoil within himself. this suddenly being a prince and these pleasures and all this palace suddenly broke apart for him, and he started looking, what is the point of all this? This is going to get old, this may get sick, for sure this will be dead. What am I investing my entire life in this? But by then he had an infant boy. He looked at his wife and his child, this loving wife and this lovely little baby. He could not leave. He struggled and struggled and struggled. By then, a little over 1.25 years passed. When the boy was 1.5 years of age, he could not hold it anymore. In the middle of the night, like a thief, without telling anybody, he slipped out of the palace and left for good. He went in search, I want to know the truth about this life. He went from school to school. These are times when different schools were established in India. At one point, there were over 1,800 schools. I'm saying not just institutions, 1,800 different ways of doing things, 1,800 different varieties of yoga. Not the kind that you're seeing in California, somebody doing like this, somebody doing like this, really intricate expressions. It is like how the medical science is becoming today. 25 years ago, you wanted a medical checkup, all you needed was your family doctor. Today, for every part of your body, there is a doctor. A few years ago, I had a knee injury. I was playing soccer and I broke something in the knee. And I was all packed up and I was speaking. That's how I got into golf, because of this knee injury. Somebody told me, gifted me a golf kit and said, "Sadhguru, you're too old for any other game, you just play golf." So I was sitting there in Atlanta and talking, speaking at a place. Then I was in pain, I couldn't even move. So when this is over, when I was speaking, one person raised his hand, I thought he wants a question. But then he said, "Sadhguru, I would like to examine your knee after this is over, I'm a knee doctor." I said, "Come on, you're an orthopedic." So, "No, I'm a knee doctor." Then I said, "Right or left?" Which one are you? So specialization is going. A time will come, probably in 50 years' time, if you want a medical checkup, you need 100 doctors to check you. By the time you get these 100 appointments, maybe you need an undertaker. Then it'll become ridiculous. Okay, you went to 3 doctors, all right. You went to 5 doctors, all right. If it becomes 50, 100 doctors for a medical checkup, it's become ridiculous, isn't it? This happened to yogic system. People started specializing and specializing in variety of small things. Each specialization has a whole thing by itself. Someone just came and told me they're a dentist, okay, I'm not speaking in any of this thing. For example, dentistry, just 32 teeth, all right? They study for 9 years, 32 teeth. 9 years of study, still they don't know everything about it. That's the nature of creation. If you start studying one tooth at a time, you will see each one of them has something specific about it. Somebody can spend a lifetime of study just learning about one tooth. Just see if you had 32 dentists to look into your mouth. Disaster you are, isn't it? So as specialization happens, when it crosses a certain point, it'll become ridiculous. This happened to yoga. It crossed that point where 1,800 schools, different specializations of yoga happened. So that is when Patanjali came and kind of assimilated everything into Yoga Sutras to minimize this expanse that was growing endlessly. So when Gautama came, it was post-Patanjali, but still there were many things. So he went from school to school. He pursued 8 different forms of samadhi. We're talking about samadhi, okay. He pursued 8 different forms of samadhi. He saw all of them were wonderful experiences, but still it did not liberate. So in this condition, he was walking as a samana. There's a certain system of practice called as samanas. Their fundamental practice is this: they will never ask for food. You should not go in pursuit of food because they want to beat the fundamental instinct of survival. No matter what, you're always going in pursuit of food, please understand this. You may complicate it in so many ways, but fundamentally, you're talking so much about economy means you're just thinking about survival all the time, isn't it? Survival glorified, but still it is survival. So one fundamental sadhana for them is, you never pursue your instinct of survival. You simply keep going. So samanas used to just walk, never asking for food. But the culture was sensitive. If they saw a spiritual person walking, people will cook at home and run behind him and serve him wherever he is, because they know he will not ask for food. Today, if you become a samana, you will walk yourself to death. Those days, people were sensitive to his sadhana and responded. So there were thousands of samanas walking the country. So Gautama became a samana. And even if you are not asking for food, you will walk near a town. So the food will come. But Gautama took it too seriously and just walked. He became all bones. Just bones and a bag of skin, like that he became. Then he came to a place where there was a river called Niranjana. Unfortunately, that river is gone now, no more river. Just about 18 to 20 inches of water, maybe moving little rapidly. He stepped into it, halfway down into the river, he did not have the energy to cross. There was a tree branch, a dead branch, he just held on. He doesn't have the strength to take the next step, but he's not the kind of man to let go. He held on, we don't know for how long, people say for a very long time. Maybe it was 2 minutes. When you're feeling so weak, those 2 minutes might have looked like many years. Then as he hung on, he just realized, what is it that I'm striving for? What is it I'm wandering the entire country, growing from school to school, learning this, learning that, what is it that I'm looking for? Then he realized, there's really nothing. This life is on. All I have to do is just take away the barriers which are not allowing me to experience this. When he realized that everything is within him, there's nowhere to search, suddenly he had the energy to take the next step and the next step. He crossed the river, came and sat down under that now very famous Bodhi tree, which has become more famous than the Buddha himself. A part of the tree, a remnant or a progeny of the tree still exists in Bodh Gaya. And he sat under the tree. It was this full moon night which is coming now, on 10th of May. He sat there and he sat there with this determination. Either I must see the ultimate nature of my existence now, or I will sit here and die. I will not open my eyes till I know this. Once he made that resolve, because the only problem is there is no resolve. Every 2 minutes, your intentions are changing. If you are totally on, to know what is within you, how long should it take? It should happen in a moment, isn't it? Because there's no distance to travel. Time is a quantity which is necessary only when there is a distance to travel, isn't it? If there is no distance to travel, if I ask you, how long does it take for you to sit here? You're already sitting. It's already there. It doesn't take any time. So you are already alive and on. It doesn't take any time for realization because you don't have to do anything particular. When he saw this, he was fully enlightened and the moon was shining. And he had not eaten for many months on end properly, years, actually 4 years he was a samana. And people around him, he had gathered about 5 disciples, I think. These guys thought he's real because he doesn't eat, he's really rigid. And they saw he's in some state, exuberant state, and they could see the light on his face. Then they were waiting for him to open his eyes and give the teaching. He opened his eyes, looked at them, smiled and said, "Cook something, let's eat." They were totally disappointed, they thought he's lost it. They walked with him for 4 to 8 years, when he had nothing but torture. When he got enlightened, they left him. Because they wanted to hear something severe. He said, "Cook something, let's eat. We've been wasting our time." There are many beautiful episodes in his life. When he one day walked upon the river bank after he has become a Buddha and went and sat down under a tree. Tree, not because tree is the best place to sit under, ants can get you. Because that was the only real estate of those times. There are no buildings and buildings and buildings everywhere. So tree was a good place, a pleasant place to sit under. Rather than sitting in harsh sun, you sit under a tree. An astrologer who was of great proficiency in his trade saw the footprint on the riverbank. He had come to… In India, people of this thing means… bath means always river. Those rivers are going away, I will tell you later. Bath means always river. So he came for a bath, the river, then he saw the footprint. There is a whole science, or rather observations, through which by looking at the way one's feet is, somebody predicts exactly what he will do. So he saw the footprint and then he saw that this is the footprint of an emperor, somebody who should rule the world. He wondered, why would such a person be in this remote place near a jungle? Then he followed the footprint, thinking he will meet an emperor. Then he saw this monk, Gautama, sitting under a tree. Then he looked at he thought either my astrology has gone all wrong, or I'm being fooled, or I'm in some kind of a hallucination. What's happening here? Then he went to Gautama and asked, "Who are you?" Gautama was in this kind of Jasjeet kind of state. He said, "I'm nobody. I'm just a nobody. But you have the feet of an emperor. You should conquer the world." Gautama said, "That I will, but not by conquest." See, there are two ways you can have the world, either by conquest or by inclusion. Yes? I can make you yours, either by capturing you, chaining you and making you do what I want, or by including you as a part of myself. Yes? Both ways, something or somebody becomes yours, isn't it? But if you go by conquest, it will be a pain in your neck, always. If you include, this will become a great enhancement of life. He said, "I am the emperor of the world." But then he said, "You're a monk, You own nothing. I own nothing and I am a nobody. That is why everything is mine. Even mathematicians are trying to teach you the zero and the infinite are one and the same. So you becoming a no thing does not mean you're no use. You are a no thing means you have become all-inclusive, isn't it? You are something means you can only be that. You are a no thing, you can be any way you want. This is how this life is made. If your ability to respond is not curtailed, you can be anything you wish at any given moment, isn't it? So Gautama said, I'm anyway the emperor of the world, if that's a word you like, but I'm actually a nobody, because everything is anyway mine. If you see I'm responsible for everything, everything is yours, isn't it? How does somebody become yours? Because you own them or you take responsibility for them? Because you take responsibility for them, they become yours, not otherwise, isn't it? If you own them forcefully, they will never be yours. Yes or no? Yes. If you forcefully own somebody, will they ever be yours? They'll never ever be yours. So this astrologer sat down. He said, you are a monk, you have nothing, on top of it you say, you're Jasjit, I'm sorry. On top of it you say, I am a nobody and everything is yours. What is this? Gautama said, you come, I have a way for you. You are busy making predictions of life. I have a plan. Why do you make predictions of life? You're incapable of making a plan and executing a plan. That is why you fall back on predictions, isn't it? Yes or no? If you are capable of making a plan and executing the plan, would you fall back on predictions? No. So Gautama said, you are busy making predictions. I'm here, I have a plan. Come, become a part of my plan. We'll make something else happen. You must become a part of this plan. We can make something wonderful happen. This same world can be turned into paradise if all of us go by a paradise plan, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. The question is only, do that, because between a possibility and a reality, there is a distance. Or do we have the courage and the commitment to walk the distance? That's all it is. Yes? Yes. Without having mastery over time, nobody can determine the nature of their destiny in their lives. So the only way you can take charge of time is by mastering your energies, how they function. If you are functioning like a steam engine, it's a long time. If you're functioning like a jet engine, boom. And one who's taken charge of time, for him, the entire universe is a sweetness of compassion. Once you came here as a human being, life got a little complicated. If you came here like any other creature on this planet, stomach full, life settled. Once you come here as a human being, stomach empty, only one problem. Stomach full, 100 problems. So what we are calling as life here is just a certain combination of time and energy. This combo of time and energy, unfortunately, majority of the people never learn to handle it seamlessly and wonderfully. Hitch after hitch, everything is a problem. If you're a toddler, you have diaper problems. If you become an adolescent, you have hormonal problems. If you become middle-aged, there is a crisis. Old age is horrible. Every phase of life, people are seeing it as some kind of a problem. Of course, death is a serious problem. So this combination of time and energy, we must understand the nature of what we are handling. Time, by its own nature, is such. You do something, it rolls. If you don't do something, it rolls. You don't have to push it, I'm saying. Hello? As you're sitting here, it's rolling away. You're doing a lot of things, it's rolling away. You do nothing, it rolls away. You're awake, it rolls away. You're asleep, it rolls away. But without having mastery over time, nobody can determine the nature of their destiny in their lives. How to grab time? People are talking about time management. Have you ever managed time? As you sit here, it's ticking away. And what's ticking away is not a clock. What's ticking away is our life itself. Hello? Since I walked in, you're 2 minutes closer to your grave. Yes, you are. Me too. This is the nature of time. Whatever you do not do anything you want, but you're not able to roll it back, it is only rolling forward. It is just that, if you're happy, it seems to tick away very fast. If you're miserable, it goes very slowly for you. Have you noticed this? On a particular day, you're very happy, 24 hours, chup. Now you're depressed, 24 hours feel like a eon for you. Yes or no? Yes. So only miserable people have a long life. If you're a joyful person, it's a brief life. If you're an ecstatic person, it's just a moment, poof, it's gone before you know what's happening. Life has gone so fast that even my body has not realized time has gone by and it's still I have not realized time has gone by. This is the 30th year of Isha, 30th anniversary of Isha Foundation, and I can't believe 30 years, it feels like 3 days in my experience. And in these 3 days or 30 years, my schedules are… Singapore is a holiday for me, I just come to golf and otherwise, my schedules are insane, okay? Every day, 20 hours minimum, we are on. I've never missed a single airplane till now. In a day, sometimes I've been in 6 airports, but I've never missed an airplane, I've never missed an appointment, I've never been late to an appointment in 30 years. But I don't manage time, I manage myself. Time, how to manage? It's too big a thing to manage, it's not in your hands. Whether you like it or not, it's ticking away, isn't it? Yes? If you sit here, it's ticking away, if you jump around, it'll tick away. Do whatever you want, it'll tick away, isn't it? But what you can do with yourself, that you can manage, there's nothing to do with the time. So self-management, not time management. Just a few days ago, I was flying in from India. Normally it used to be 13.5, 14 hours, but now there is some issue that Pakistan is not allowing airplanes to fly over their airspace, so it's taking 16 hours. Because I know all the pilots and I'm a licensed pilot myself, so they let me sit in the cockpit and I'm interested in what's happening there. So I was talking to them and they said, Sadhguru, I said, 14 hours, isn't it? They said, no, Sadhguru, 16 hours, it's so long. Then I said, see, I'm not complaining. Because just a century ago, if I had to go to United States, it was 60 days. 16 hours, I'm not complaining, I'm okay. I'll sit down, lie down, read something, do something or talk to you. But I'm not complaining about 16 hours. How did 60 days become 16 hours? Simply because from a chugging steam engine to a jet engine, hello? Suddenly 60 days became 16 hours. So the only way you can take charge of time is by mastering your energies, how they function. If you are functioning like a steam engine, it's a long time. If you're functioning like a jet engine, boom. Right now they're saying the Chinese have developed an airplane where Beijing to New York you can do it in 2 hours. They're saying by 2028 they'll have it commercially ready. 2 hours. So, this is not mastery of time, but consequentially it is mastery of time. If what somebody does in 10 years, if you can do it in 1 year, if both of you live for 100 years, in terms of impact and profoundness of experience, you lived for 1,000 years. Hello? That is the only way you can take charge of time. And one who's taken charge of time, for him, the entire universe is a sweetness of compassion. That will be his experience of life once he's taken charge of time. The moon is on fast forward today. All the 28 days, all the 28 phases of the moon you see right here. Everything that happens in a month, in a subtle way, is happening right here. When such a fast forward is happening, many things are changing. One thing that you will notice is that the food, when I say food, I mean your body. Food is your body in making, isn't it? The food, particularly the cooked food, will go through the phases of its deterioration much, much more rapidly in a subtle way than it does on a normal day. We thought we'll do a little experiment. This is just to show you how quickly it's going bad, right here as we say. This is not just happening to the food, this is happening to your body, this is happening to the whole world in a certain way. If there is food in your body, it would happen to you much more. That is, in 2 hours' time, your energies will age by approximately 28 days. We'll keep watching this as it goes by. So right now it's still okay. You watch this in the next 1.5 hours. You will see things will change about this food as we sit here, okay? We will leave it now, it'll mature. See how quiet it has become now? Not very enthusiastic. First time we held it, it was clearly going this way. Right now it is still not totally tamas, it is moving there, it's almost there. You will see in another 15-20 minutes, if you check it, it will be going anti-clockwise. So if this was in your stomach right now, 7 o'clock, if you had your dinner and you were sitting here, this would be happening within you. So I thought it's better it happens outside than within you because food will rot in the stomach. If we go by the physical sciences, if we examine you by the limitations of physical sciences, on one level, you're just heart, liver, kidney, lungs and whatever. We know today they're all replaceable. Are you replaceable? Let's see what's happening to the sambar. Are you able to see this? Actively going negative. In these 3 hours, what happens in 28 days is happening right here. It is happening to your body right now as you sit here. You should be able to notice it, but you're not able to notice it, so the sambar is telling you what your brain is not able to tell you. We are watching it only for less than 40 minutes. In an hour's time, what is nourishing food is turning into poison. If you eat this, what will happen? Will I die? Unfortunately, you don't. Why I'm saying unfortunately, if you eat this, if you immediately fall dead, they would have passed a law. On an eclipse day, nobody should eat the cooked food. But because it's subtle, you look at my eyes and say, I'm always stoned. Never touched a substance in my life, but always I'm drunk. There is a whole research on how there is cannabis receptors in your brain. There are millions of cannabis receptors because the brain is expecting your body to generate this. But most people have failed. Either they are smoking it, or they're drinking it, or they've become constipated. No, if you're blissed out all the time, your body will be in its best state. This is because we need to understand, you might have provided nourishment from outside, but the intelligence which creates this body is working from within. You give it a piece of bread or a banana or whatever, there is something here, there's an intelligence and a competence here which can transform a banana into a human being. It's not a small thing. It's a phenomenon beyond anything. That you can transform a banana into a human being is not a small thing, and every one of you doing that every day. Only thing is, you're unconscious of the process. If you find access to this intelligence, even a drop of this intelligence enters your conscious life, life will happen magically. Health is just a small fragment of that. Health will be a natural consequence of that. Even today there's any amount of talk about how a Native American shaman becomes an eagle. Yeah, the occult scientists evolved other kinds of methods. They pick other forms and make the forms work in a certain way. The occult sciences have many aspects to it. Sarvana Veda is all about this.
In Native American cultures, they believe animal spirits play a role in human life. What is your understanding of the nature of the relationship between human energy and animal energy?
See, in certain occult sciences, there are certain things that one can do, but those things are seen as totally unnecessary in the spiritual realm. In the yogic realm, these are seen as totally unnecessary and a backward step. In terms of occult, these things are done. Recently, when we were trekking in Nepal, we came across a valley like this where some Nepali tribes are doing occult like this with animals. And these are very powerful processes, but these things were meaningful or useful before modern technology came because you could do certain things. There is a whole tradition of shamanism where it is… even today there's any amount of talk about how a Native American shaman becomes an eagle, becomes a fly, becomes a wolf, transforms himself into some other form and gets there and all this. So these are not just stories, it is very much a possibility that one can transform his form if he wishes to. So, about people taking on the forms that they wish according to the convenience is not a new thing or it's not an unheard of. Almost in every part of the world it is there. Particularly it is being publicized in a big way about the North American and South American shamans these days, about shamans becoming eagle and becoming wolf. These two forms are very common for them. That was not unheard of here, but it was looked down upon in this culture. There it is being looked up to because this is not spirituality, this is occult. Here, our occult scientists, I call them scientists because they're that kind, they don't bother to convert themselves into a bird or an animal because risk, because when you take on the form of something else, this body has to be preserved and it can always be misused. So, there have been incidents where somebody left his body here in some safety and let's say became an eagle and flew for some time, but when the eagle came back, the body is gone. Now what does the eagle do? An eagle comes and sits here and says, I'm a yogi. Pathetic state, isn't it? Because you cannot fly, you think being an eagle is a big thing. Being an eagle is not a big thing. Though he flies high, he's only looking down all the time. It's better to sit here and look up rather than go up and look down. So, here, the occult scientists evolved other kinds of methods. That is, they themselves do not take on other forms. They pick other forms and make the forms work in a certain way. They will take a certain animal. Usually, one thing that is heavily used is a chicken. Oh, you think that's a waste, huh? You know, the chicken has to be young and vibrant chicken, uncooked. So, release the chicken's life and use that life form to do certain things for you. Rather than you taking on the chicken's body, you make that chicken do things controlled by… remote-controlled chicken, all right? A remote-controlled chicken is better than you becoming a chicken, isn't it? Because you becoming a chicken, there is a risk. You left your body and you went out as a chicken and tried to do something and you've become somebody's tandoor. So, they evolved better, more sophisticated methods to deal with the same things. So, yes, the occult sciences have many aspects to it. One Veda is dedicated towards this, Atharvana Veda is all about this. If we want to practice certain things, we could, but we don't allow such things here. Because what's the point? All that'll happen, you will get into more serious levels of ignorance. If you could change two bodies, this and that, you will get more entangled in the process of life than you are right now. Just the sheer power of it destroys you in so many ways. Occult was a very useful process when there was no modern technology. They used it as an access to the physical world in certain ways, but it involves so much of struggle to get there. But today, occult is not so meaningful anymore because almost everything that occult could do and more, modern technology is doing. You just have to send out a drone or turn on your television or just your phone screen will tell you everything that you want to know. So you want to know where the rain clouds are, so you had to do something. Now it's not necessary, just the weather channel. I'm saying it's unnecessary effort. So it's better to focus on you evolving beyond your animal nature rather than developing a relationship with animal nature. How to get rid of the animal within you, that's my work, not how to connect you with animals. The corpses walk the tantric rituals. When somebody dies, or when somebody is certified dead by your doctor, he's not completely dead. Up to 5 to 7 minutes, it's behaving as if it's alive and then falls dead. Exhausts itself. So it's based on this, that when somebody dies, there are rituals in India. Up to 14 days, there are various kinds of rituals.
He told the players, when they're in the tunnel, to give them a bunch of flowers, but wrapped in barbed wire. I go back into the dressing room after the game, all the players are there singing, "Sadhguru, Sadhguru, Sadhguru."
I was in… I went and spoke to the Everton Football Club. Is anybody following English Premier League? Huh? So that's the best leagues in the world, English Premier League, highest quality. The best players play there. Now the Spanish league is getting much better, but still English league is, in terms of talent, it's great. So, the last time when I was in Birmingham, a young man attended the program, not the program, just a talk, an evening talk.
So I didn't know anything about Sadhguru, I'd never heard of him until the day before. And then, just before it's about to speak, this energy just came into the room, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And he's standing there, this guy, this incredible guy, and he starts speaking. So I went home and he was an incredible speaker, as you know. Incredible energy. And it really had a big effect on me. And so the next day I'm thinking, right, I'd love to get him in to speak to the players. Sadhguru is a big football fan and a big sports fan, as you know. So he agreed to come in and speak to the players, and I was so excited. So the next morning, it was a Saturday, he was coming in to kind of meet the players and watch training. And all of a sudden, I started to get very nervous. Normally, I don't feel stressed, but I was very stressed and nervous. And the moment that I saw him, the feeling of panic that I had completely dissolved, and I felt completely at ease and at peace. And that's part of the impact that Sadhguru has on people.
So they took me to the Everton Football Club and they want me to speak to the boys. They're stars in their own right. The moment you enter a professional football league, you are a star in your own right because there's a certain talent there. Then with a couple of boys, I kicked the ball around a bit and then I was to talk to them.
And he had his sandals on and his flowing robes, and he was out there kicking the ball around with Jack Rodwell, and it was just a very funny sight and funny experience to have this Indian guru here kicking a ball around with Premiership footballers. So that night it was at the team hotel in Formby. We're about to play Liverpool in the derby the next day, and we'd not beaten Liverpool for years.
So I went and they were training. So when the football clubs train, they're under the manager's whip and it's very rigid and things are going through paces because the next day they're playing a big game, a very big game with Liverpool. Liverpool has really fabulous stars. Torres, Virat. These are kind of people who can change a game individually, single-handed. The manager is putting them through the paces and the usual things and running up and down. They don't want to put them through too much stress. The previous day, they're just enough to keep them limbered up. So I went there, I said, I just want to be there and observe, and I was just there.
So he comes into the room in his robes, and the players are sat there, and I noticed immediately that the players, all of a sudden, they just got this, like they calmed. Normally a lot of them can't sit still, but they completely sat still and were completely present and calm, and peace kind of came into the room. It was an incredible experience.
And from being okay to slowly they became like this, because what they thought some religious preaching is going to come. I just asked them a simple questions and made them look at life in a certain way, look at the game in a certain way. I'm not trying to teach them soccer. They know how to play soccer. But how to keep yourself? Just this an hour and a half talk. Next day, I had special pass to go and sit in the box for the game. And I went and sat for the game.
And one thing I remember is he told the players when they're in the tunnel and regarding the opposition is to give them a bunch of flowers but wrapped in barbed wire. And I won't go into what he meant by that, but it always stuck with me, and I know it stuck with the players as well.
This… one of their stars is Tim Carey. Tim Carey is from Australia, and I saw this boy was just sitting there like this. I said, today when you enter the field, say nice things to the Liverpool players. He looked shocked. Say nice things to them. I said, he's a forward. So I said, particularly go to the goalkeeper and say nice things to him. He looked like this. I said, yes, you do this and see. And I said, find out something about the goalkeeper's life. They said he had a daughter 3 months ago. I said, go and ask how his little daughter is doing. Just do it. And if he thinks it's a friendly, in his mind, for a moment if he becomes friendly with you and slackens down for a moment of slackness is what you need. That's all the game is. And the first goal he scored. And I saw him actually patting, when they were introducing, he not only shook the hand, he went to the goalkeeper and he tapped him on his chest and said something nice. And within 20 minutes he scored the first goal. They scored one more. And they dominated the whole game right through, which was a huge surprise, headlines in all the newspapers next day, they won 2-0.
I go back into the dressing room after the game, all the players are there singing Sadhguru, Sadhguru, Sadhguru. And it was one of the best days of my life. And that evening on Match of the Day was just starting and it was just panning around, and it comes on to Sadhguru because he had the Everton shirt on that Jags had given him. And the commentator goes, here's an interesting gentleman.
It is just that constantly Liverpool means you're overpowered, overwhelmed by the reputation of the big players there. Nobody's reputation is going to win any game or any situation anywhere. How you conduct this situation is how it's going to work. I have a great reputation, but tomorrow you can make a fool of yourself, isn't it, if you don't conduct it properly? So reputations are to be respected when you walk on the street, never to be respected or even considered when you're actually in the situation or the game.
So the impact that Sadhguru had on the players was huge, and he gave them meditation techniques like Isha Kriya, and I know that several of them still do it today, and several of them still follow Sadhguru, his talks, and he's a huge inspiration. And hopefully when this pandemic ends, that we'll be able to get him back in here and he can help a new generation of footballers succeed.